It is Wednesday, April 3rd, 2013. Welcome to Fire Your MD Now. Check out the website of the same name. Make sure you put the now at the end and hit a .com. That's fireyourmdnow.com. Sign up for the online health recovery program. Better yet, sign up for the online newsletter. It's free, and when you sign up for the free newsletter, you get 7 days of free access to my online health recovery subscription series, which otherwise is $17 a month. Kick the tires, slam the doors, drive it around the block for 7 days for free, and see how you can recover your health with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. Welcome aboard, where we urge you to fire your MD. Fire your MD, not tomorrow, but now. Why? Because your medical doctor does not know what's best for you. Your medical doctor only knows what they have been trained in, and what they have been trained in is only one small piece of the pie of medical science. And the MDs have drunk their own Kool-Aid. They have convinced themselves that their way is the only way. It is the only way. And it's incorrect. It is an incorrect assumption. Their way is just one way. Their philosophy of medicine is just one philosophy of medicine. Their view of the pathogenesis of disease has an a priori built-in bias, which they completely do not see, and which therefore makes the majority of their therapeutics for chronic disease pointless and futile. If you went outside and didn't know any better, and you looked at the sunrise and the sunset, you could reasonably conclude that it is the sun that moves around the earth, right? I mean, isn't that the way that it goes? I mean, you look at the moon, you see the moon rise and you see the moon set, and you correctly assume that the moon moves around the earth. That's correct. But the sun doesn't move around the earth moves around the sun. It is our vantage point, our perspective, that makes it seem like the sun is the one that's moving when in fact it's the earth. Your perspective is everything. It is everything. And the perspective of healing that MDs bring to bear on everything is referred to as allopathic reductionism. Allopathic reductionism has no room inside of its philosophical construct, has no room inside of its clinical construct for science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. Medical nutrition is secondary or tertiary to the MD. They have no training in it, they have no appreciation, no respect, and certainly no clinical experience with medical nutrition whatsoever. And the MD, because of their curious, old-fashioned, outdated, and dangerous, quite frankly, it's archaic perspective on the medical landscape, because of their perspective, the MD is trained to believe that once you're sick, you're screwed. You cannot fix it. Your body cannot fix it. There is no room in the body to fix chronic disease. That once you've developed a chronic disease, you've developed a chronic disease because you have a bad gene or something. You have an autoimmune disease. You have a bad gene. They never tell you why it took 50 years for the gene to express itself. They never tell you where the autoimmunity came from. They never tell you what's at the root cause of your arteries being clogged. They never tell you what causes the high blood pressure. They never tell you what causes the heartburn. All that they're trained in is to give you drugs or surgery to suppress and manage the symptoms, period. Game, set, match. That's all that they know. That's all that they do. And everything that they know and everything that they do is informed by a philosophy of healing which argues that once you're sick, you're screwed. Your body does not have the ability to fix itself. And your only option, because everybody else, all those other doctors are back-of-the-bus alternative quacks, right? Your only option is to shut up and do what the MD says, to take their drugs, take their surgical procedures, even though they may only confer on you a slight symptomatic improvement in your condition. It will not heal the condition. And this is what passes for the best medicine in the world. I was getting a building permit today at the town hall in the city where I live. We're going to do some electrical work on my house, needed a permit. And, I'm leaving the lobby of the town hall, and there's a table there with brochures about events that are happening in the town, things that the town is going to sponsor, right? And there's a 5K run for autism. Let's find the cure for autism. Well, I've got news for you. It is impossible for the MD to find the cure to autism for the same reason that it is impossible for the MD to find a cure for anything. Again, to the profession that doesn't even know how to cure heartburn, we think they're going to come up with a cure for autism or Down syndrome or cancer or arthritis or type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure or depression or fibromyalgia or suicidal ideation or anxiety and panic attacks. Everything that we go to the doctor for, they don't know how to cure. They can't cure a damn thing. And yet, because we're knuckleheads, because we haven't thought it through, because we've been brainwashed and socialized by 100 years of pharmaceutical profiteering propaganda to believe that the MD is the distinct sole emperor and owner of the medical domain, we continue to give them money. Run races to raise money for pharmaceutical research. You've got to be kidding me. This is a fool's errand from beginning to end, ladies and gentlemen, and this is why we exist. If you're suffering with a chronic health condition, if your child was born with a birth defect, if there's autism in your family, if there's a chronic disease in your family, if someone in your family has needed knee surgery or shoulder surgery or chemotherapy or whatever, they don't have a bad gene, they have the bad doctor. They've taken the wrong dog to the hunt. And it's not their fault, because the medical doctor, the MD, the allopathic medical profession, has gone out of its way to corner the market on medicine in the United States. I'm a licensed naturopathic physician. I did 4 years of pre-med at the University of Massachusetts, 4 years of naturopathic medical school at Bastyr University in Seattle, Washington, a fully accredited academic institution, was granted a doctoral degree in naturopathic medicine in 1991, secured my naturopathic medical license in 1992. I've been licensed to practice naturopathic medicine and have been engaged in the clinical practice of naturopathic medicine since 1992. In Seattle, Washington, as a licensed naturopath, I can deliver babies, prescribe drugs, how about that? Order any diagnostic test I want, work in hospitals, call myself a physician, and it's all covered by insurance. If I did exactly the same thing in Chicago that I did in Seattle, just by crossing a few state lines, I'd be thrown in jail for a year and fined $5,000 for practicing medicine without a license, and that's not right. We don't have a free medical market here. We haven't had a free medical market here since the early 1920s. The only people that can practice medicine have MD after their name, and it's a runaway train. It is a monopoly. That, for quite frankly, if when I win the lottery, I'm going to sue the American Medical Association for racketeering, because that is exactly what they have done. They have colluded together across state lines to monopolize the industry. Every time naturopathic doctors try to get a different state licensed and regulated for naturopathic medicine, the AMA runs out its dog and pony show and says, oh, don't license those naturopaths. Oh, no. They have substandard training. They're dangerous and they're quacks. Meanwhile, the MD therapeutics are the leading cause of death in the United States. The leading cause of death in the United States. I mean, talk about being hoodwinked. We have been completely hoodwinked, and the only thing that keeps my profession alive is results, because we get results when they don't. And now, guess what? The MDs, realizing that they get piss-poor results, are starting to wade into our waters, are starting to hop the fence into the pasture that the naturopathic physicians and the homeopaths and the chiropractors have been tending for thousands of years, and the acupuncturists. Doing this weird hybrid green allopathic medicine. I don't even know what the heck it is. It's integrative medicine. It doesn't work. Integrative medical doctors should be avoided at all costs, because a tiger never changes his stripes, and all that they do is give you vitamins the same way that they gave drugs. They don't switch their paradigm. They don't switch from being a reductionist to being a holist. And there is a gigantic difference. They are still looking at the sun, thinking that it moves around the earth, and all of their suppositions after that are incorrect. Their fundamental stance is incorrect. And this is why their therapeutics are the leading cause of death, because from the beginning they're biased and incorrect, but nobody has the stones to stand up and say, you suck at what you do. Well, I do. My colleague Dr. Wallach does. When Dr. Wallach started ringing this bell 30 years ago, every state medical association sued him for practicing medicine without a license because he had a radio program. Every state, 50 states, sued Dr. Wallach. And he won every single solitary lawsuit. Because what we say is correct, what we say is inside the bounds of the law at this particular moment in time, and we are ringing the bell of truth. Can you hear it? Can you hear it yet? Do you hear it in the middle of the night? When you have restless legs, when you wake up because you can't stop peeing because you're wet in the bed, can you hear it when you can't take a breath? Can you hear it when you get heart palpitations? Can you hear it when your blood pressure spikes and your eyeballs want to pop out of your head? Can you hear it when you can't even lift your head off the pillow because your blood sugars are so damn high because you have the wrong medical doctor? Can you hear our bell when your grandson is born autistic and it's the pediatrician's fault? Because autism is a birth defect. Can you hear the bell when someone in your family gets cancer and the oncologist tells them they need to pony up $50,000 for a treatment that's not going to work, and then they bully them into the treatment? Can you hear the bell yet? I don't know what it's going to take, ladies and gentlemen. We are ringing it loud and clear and strong. Visit fireyourmdnow.com, click on the Join Longevity button, and join us. Join us today. Take your health back. You're going to love how you feel. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, 866-582-9933. That's the phones right now. I'm talking to Rini, who has a question about hemoglobin. Hey, Rini, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. Yes, I'm calling back, following up with you from last week. You had asked me to call back that you were going to check about the hemoglobin A1C and thalassemia.
Yes, but you don't know whether you have thalassemia or not, right?
I know that I do. I was calling about my sister. I wasn't sure if she did or not, but I definitely have it. They've done thorough testing. I can't remember all the exact things, but yes, and I've gone to many different specialists about it, but quit going years ago now that I've been on the longevity. But I had never had the hemoglobin A1C test done, and so I did have, when I was pregnant years ago, I had gestational diabetes, and was what I was told anyway. So I thought maybe at some point I should probably have this hemoglobin A1C done, possibly. But so, yeah, unfortunately, my sister, it's kind of a lost cause now as far as what's going to happen, because her husband's not on board with listening to anything I have to say. So trying to get her to at least drink the supplements and stuff. But as far as any of the testing that you had recommended, he wants to follow the doctor's advice. So.
Well, all right. So she's going to die, or I don't know, die, but it's going to just be
right.
All right. Well, so there's a subclass of thalassemia. I believe the subclass, if memory serves me correctly, is S-beta positive. S-beta positive thalassemia. Did anybody make that distinction with you? S like Sam, beta positive thalassemia?
I believe they told me it was alpha thalassemia.
Oh, so if it's alpha, then you're good, because the only type of thalassemia that is contraindicated, or that the test is contraindicated in, because you'll get false positives. The test will be abnormally high. You know, you won't really have a blood sugar issue, but the test will tell you that you do. Is if you have a subclass of thalassemia called S like Sam, beta positive, S-beta positive thalassemia.
Okay.
So, notwithstanding that, the hemoglobin A1C test is a very good test.
Okay.
And more to the point, right? You know, we don't want to kind of get lost in the diagnostic quagmire here.
Right.
It's easy to do, you know, because that's the way that we've been brought up. One of the things that we need to pay attention to here, of course, you know, is blood work. Blood work is effective and appropriate in certain times, and blood work can give you information that you otherwise would be blind to. It's not a bad idea. However, on an equal par to blood diagnostics is your subjective symptoms, how you feel. Now, two of the biggest symptoms of a blood sugar issue are that you get really sleepy, like you've taken a sedative after you eat something that's sweet, after you have a meal that's sweet in about 30 minutes. So you'll have a handful of chocolates, or you'll have some wine, or you'll have some sugar-frosted flakes, or you'll have a big glass of orange juice, or pancakes with gluten-free pancakes with syrup on them or whatever, and 30 minutes later you're like falling asleep. That's a cardinal sign that you have a blood sugar issue. Another sign is that you wake up in the middle of the night after 2 or 3 hours of sleep and you're wide awake. Mm-hmm. So if either of those two symptoms are chronic and or persistent, then I don't really care what the hemoglobin A1C test is, because in my mind you're a candidate for blood sugar support. So moving downstream, we just need to kind of keep both feet on the ground here and understand what we're doing, because really the final goal is to make somebody very, very healthy. And when somebody is very, very healthy, there's no symptoms. Your energy's good, your mood's good, your bones and joints are good. When the shoe fits, you don't feel it. Your sleep is good. Your blood pressure's good. Everything's good and hunky-dory. So how somebody feels, especially around their energy and their sleep patterns, can be very indicative of whether or not they have a blood sugar issue, notwithstanding what the blood work itself looks like. Make sense?
Right, absolutely. Is there any problem at all with taking the sweeties?
No, none at all. There's abs. Yeah, I take it preventively. Dr. Wallach takes it preventively. It's a perfectly fine supplement to take preventively, and I'm all in favor of it, because according to the United States Department of Agriculture, 98% of USA soils are deficient in chromium. So there's nobody in the United States that's getting chromium from their food, because the chromium is not in our soil, but the chromium is in the sweeties. So that's an excellent way to kind of plug that leak in the tire and help your body. Stick around, folks. We'll be back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Have you heard the bell ring? Have you? It's ringing loud and clear. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your family members, tell everybody in your life about this radio show. Send everybody to the website of the same name, and let us lift each other up into the land of health and wealth. A rising tide lifts all boats. Eric is calling with a stomach-related issue. Hey, Eric, thanks for waiting. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden.
What's going on?
Hey, actually, I called a couple weeks ago about the swallowing issue as well.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, so how's it going?
It's okay. So far, my products are still in auto ship, so hopefully they should be shipping out today. So
yeah, okay,
I should
good.
get them soon. So I'm calling with, I think, a related issue. It's basically chronic diarrhea.
Yeah.
So I've been on the longevity products for about a year now. Now I have to say I haven't been following the regimen that like you've outlined. I started with just the Tangy Tangerine and the OsteoFX. And the EFAs, and I noticed I wasn't really seeing some of the results I was really looking for, such as, weight loss and some of the bowel issues clearing up. That is until I added the root beer belly into that mix.
Yeah.
And then from there, like these past 2 months have been great. So I was kind of wondering if you would recommend, a product like that first before a Healthy Start pack, or basically with a product like the root beer belly, will that eventually clear up my sort of GI issues, or is this going to be a chronic ongoing kind of an issue?
Oh, no, it's never a chronic ongoing issue once you give the body the proper raw materials. I mean, there is a point of no return, but I don't know where that is. No physician knows where that is. And the things that I've seen people recover from honestly would blow your mind and make your head explode.
Yeah.
So if I had to guess whether you would be locked in the grips of chronic symptomology for the rest of your life, or you'd be able to work your way out of it, well, I'm going to guess you'll be able to work your way out of it. Now, this is curious and interesting both at the same time. This is, again, remember that this is a holistic adventure. And we got to start somewhere, and we've got to give foundation medical nutrition that covers all of the bases as we move down the track, and then adjust the program if necessary moving forward. Certainly you could make the argument that it would not be a bad idea to add the root beer belly into the bargain of the Healthy Start Pack and have everybody start with that. I think that's a great idea, especially given the fact that, the digestive tract is really where naturopathy goes back to. Our foundation, medical philosophy is that feed the body appropriately and the body will fix itself. Well, what's the main organ that feeds the body? It's the digestive tract. So if the digestive tract is sorted out, then we're 80% of the way to the land of health. And because everybody in our culture eats all the wrong food all the time, everybody in our culture is damaging their digestive tract every single time that they eat, and it's only a matter of time until those chickens come home to roost and you get chronic symptoms. So, it's a point well taken that it would not be a bad idea to have everybody start with the root beer belly in addition to the Mighty 90, but also understand that from our point of view, there's always two things going on. There's nutritional deficiencies and dietary stress. So, if the root cause or the center of gravity of your physical complaints has been digestive issues, chronic diarrhea for many years, then it would be reasonable to assume that you are a candidate to stop eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats and the other 10 bad foods, right?
And that is something I've stopped really also within the last 2 months also.
Yeah.
And I noticed, I can really absorb the tangerine as opposed to actually sometimes I feel like it would kind of exacerbate my, diarrhea.
Yeah, the whole thing's very interesting. I could make the argument, well, holy smokes, if you just stopped eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats when you started this whole thing, that the diarrhea might have resolved a lot faster, right? Who knows? Going back in time. That's a fun
argument to make.
Yeah, but where there's smoke, there's fire. If it looks like a duck, flies like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So, I would just avoid gluten like the plague from now on. And after you've been on the root beer belly for a couple of months, I would withdraw from it and see how you feel. Hey, we're up against the hard break. Thanks for calling, Eric. I'll be back. Maybe we're not up against the hard break. Hold on. Nope, I got my timings wrong. Sorry about that. Hold on. Let me adjust my clock appropriately here. Okay, very good. Excellent. All right, so what I would do is, here's what I recommend for the probiotics. You need the 90 essential nutrients every day because your body needs all of that stuff. But you don't need the probiotics every day because once you've colonized your body with the appropriate amount of probiotics, unless you're in a really high-stress environment, your body, those populations maintain because it's a living microorganism that reproduces. Mm-hmm. So once you've stabilized your symptoms and you're on a good footing, then what I recommend is you get a couple of boxes of the root beer belly every time the seasons change 4 times a year, and take the root beer belly for 4 weeks. So, the spring equinox, the summer solstice, the fall equinox, the winter solstice, get some root beer belly and take it for 4 weeks, as an extra add-on preventive thing. You don't need the probiotics the same way that you need the 90 essential nutrients every day, but every once in a while, a couple times a year, it's not a bad idea.
Okay, because currently I've been taking one a day.
Yeah, well, how much do you weigh?
205.
Yeah, okay. So I would do one. And how long have you been doing it?
For about 2 months.
All right. Well, I would do it for the rest of April. Right? We're at the beginning of April. Do it for the rest of April, and then you should be good to go. Stop the root beer belly at the end of April, and then pick it up again in June, pick it up again in September, and then pick it up again in December. And that should be fine. And also, I don't know that you're going to want to do this experiment because nobody likes to feel pain, but sometime this summer when you're cruising along on all 16 cylinders, if you want to give yourself a little experiment, have a great big stack of pancakes in the morning, made from wheat.
Yeah, I've kind of tried that. It's Doesn't feel so good the next day.
All right, yeah, right. Well, so there you go. The proof of the pudding's in the eating. Now, the other thing that we don't want to overlook here, if weight loss is a goal, is the secret sauce to weight loss is filling your tank up with all 90 essential nutrients, and once you've topped off and you've eliminated the 10 bad foods, you dial in 1,200 calories a day. And you have to do calorie counting in order to figure that out, and there's all kind of apps that you can get for your smartphones or your iPhone. So you got to eat 1,200 calories or less a day in order to lose weight.
So how would exercise fit into that, or is there a non-factor?
It's a non-factor, right? Okay. Because the only thing that makes people gain weight is we eat too many calories. A United Nations report published a couple of years ago proved that exercise is irrelevant when it comes to weight loss or weight gain. What is relevant is calorie intake. Okay. And people eat too many calories, they gain weight. Well, why do we eat too many calories? Because the body is starving. It knows that it's starving for nutrients, not for calories. It's starving for vitamin A and for calcium and for selenium and zinc, right? It doesn't have any of this, and it knows that something's going to break if it doesn't get it. This is why there are all of these illnesses associated with obesity that knucklehead medical doctors, because they have the wrong perspective, blame on obesity. It's not. It's not obesity that causes high blood pressure. It's not obesity that causes type 2 diabetes. It's lack of nutrients. Lack of nutrients cause obesity. Lack of nutrients cause high blood pressure. Lack of nutrients cause high blood sugar. It's the same, different tentacles of the same octopus, but the MDs got it wrong. And we believed them. And see, this is the problem. So if weight loss is the goal, then 1,200 calories a day is the target, or less is the target. And, you know, who the hell knows what 1,200 calories look like? You got to kind of dial that in and figure it out. And use the Beyond Tangy Tangerine in between meals, extra Beyond Tangy Tangerine in between meals if necessary, if you're jonesing and craving calories while you're getting on board the 1,200 calorie train. Because jumping on the 1,200 calorie train, it's going to take your body about 7 or 8 or 9 days to get used to that, and then it's clear sailing. So you can use extra Beyond Tangy Tangerine to take the edge off of your food cravings while your body's getting used to that. There's also another product that Youngevity makes. It's called Prohoba Slim. That's Projoba is the company's name. It's a Youngevity affiliate. Slim, Prohoba Slim, and it's an extract from a cactus which suppresses appetite. So you can pop a couple of Prohoba Slims between meals while your body's getting used to the 1,200 calorie a day gig if necessary. And, you know, after a week or two on 1,200 calories, you're good to go, as long as you're consistently topping off your tank with the appropriate 90 essential nutrients every day. Now, Eric, once you dial in 1,200 calories a day and you're staying away from the 10 bad foods and you're filling your nutritional tank up every day with the 90 essentials, you're going to lose about 1 pound to 3 pounds a week. And, you know, then it's just a matter of time.
Looking forward to, you know, obviously I'd like to, I would like the weight loss to be a side effect of the good health.
Well, that's exactly what happens. And right, good health, one of the keys to longevity, you know, there's people that live in the blue zones, quote unquote, all around the world. You know, they're over 100 years old. The Vilcabambas in Peru, the Hunzas in Afghanistan, the Bama people in southwestern China, the Okinawans, the Sardinians, et cetera, et cetera. Well, one of the keys to their longevity, which, by the way, is backed up by hundreds of clinical studies, is a restricted calorie diet. So eating less calories gives you a healthier, longer life. Eating less calories gives you a healthier, longer life, but the only way that you or me or anybody else can eat less calories is if our body's vitamin and mineral and essential fatty acid tanks are topped off every day, because you need that stuff to stay alive. And if you don't have enough, your body knows you don't have enough, and your body will force you to eat in the desperate attempt to fill that tank up. So when you're topping the tank off with the 90 essentials, and you get yourself into the new habit of 1,200 calories a day, you're going to extend your life 10, 20, 30 years, and you're going to drop weight, and life is going to be good. But, you have to kind of teach your body how to do it.
Right, and with the gluten intolerance that I'm pretty sure I have, I was wondering, in terms of the other types of gluten. I recently seen a webinar where they said, corn and millet actually have a fair amount of gluten. Now I know it's not the exact same type of gluten found in wheat, but I was just wondering, is that something also to look at to eliminate from your diet?
Well, it's something that you should look at eliminating from your diet because you have you're the weak link in your chain, apparently, because of your symptom history is your digestive tract, right?
Sure.
But regretfully, the only way that you can know that, there's no test that will prove that yet. So you just got to eat some corn and see how it makes you feel the same way that, the whole wheat bread makes you feel like crap the next day. Well, eat some corn and see how you feel the next day. That's the only way you're going to know. But that's a good experiment to do, Eric, because if you eat stuff that's bad for you, right, it's like the straws that broke the camel's back and life is good. So we're out of time, buddy. Check it out. Remember, folks, an old falsehood is always more popular than a new truth. An old falsehood is always more popular than a new truth, which is one more reason why you need to fire your medical doctor now, because your medical doctor is trained in a philosophy and a clinical application of medicine which is patently false on its face. The only thing that those people are good for, and they're really good at this, is surgery when it's necessary, trauma, and infectious disease. That's it. I mean, thank God for Novocaine, right? Thank God for anesthesia. Thank God for the sterile technique. Thank God for the new surgical techniques that they've figured out. I mean, you get your leg blown off in a military conflict, heaven forbid. You're in a car accident and your bone has a triple compound fracture and you're bleeding out. They can fix that in their sleep. That's how good they are at that. That's excellent. In a perfect world, that would be all that they would legally be allowed to do. In a perfect world, an MD wouldn't be able to come within 100 yards of a chronic disease because they stink at treating chronic disease, and not only do they stink at it, but they kill you. Their therapeutics don't fix chronic disease, they manage it. And then they kill you. Leading cause of death in the United States, leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, MD-directed medicines. Enough is enough. Let's go back to the phones now. Shirley's on the hook with a question about hernias. Hey, Shirley, welcome back. I think you are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. Thank you so much. I have a little over 2.5 years ago, I picked up a small Weber barbecue pit that was lit, and I held it out away from me.
Ouch.
And I wound up hurting my shoulder and getting a hiatal hernia out of the whole bit. And I keep having pains with it. It will start. It's better than it was, but it will start like in the pit of my stomach, and then I'll get a pain that'll go sometimes up over my left shoulder and around to the shoulder blade, sometimes under. My doctor's an osteopath, and when I went to her, well, she didn't know it was a hiatal hernia. She was just treating me for pulled muscles or whatever, and she sent me to acupuncture. And so I did that. That helped some. When I got on the longevity products, that really helped quite a bit also to heal the muscle in the shoulder, but I still have some problems with it. But I'm having more problems now with the hiatal hernia, and it's kind of, it feels different in there. I almost feel sometimes like I have a pulse in there.
Yeah. All right. So this is one of the times when physical medicine is mandatory. All right, because when you pop out a hernia, there's been a breach, a structural breach. It's like a broken leg. There's tissue that has been broken, and the abdominal contents have popped through the connective tissue that got broken. Now, sometimes when you have a hernia, it can be manipulated back into place through physical medicine, and sometimes it can't. But you never know until you try, and so you want to find someone in your community who does something called the Bowen technique. B like baby, O-W-E-N. B like baby, O-W-E-N. Find somebody who does the Bowen technique. It would be a chiropractor or a massage therapist. I would interface with chiropractors or naturopaths. What state do you live in?
California.
Oh, yeah, so just call up, go to naturopathic, N-A-T-U-R-O, P like Peter, A-T like Thomas, H-I-C like Charlie, .org, naturopathic.org. And do a doctor search in the state of California. That's the American Association of Naturopathic Physicians website. And you can do a state-by-state search of licensed naturopaths. Give them a call until you find someone that does the Bowen technique and go in and see if they can help. Because when you're feeling the pulse in a hernia, I'm making numbers up, but 90% of the time, that demands physical medicine. And there's not all the nutrition in the world isn't going to fix that. It's going to help, but you need someone to go in there and poke around and see if they can help. So check it out. Keep taking the supplements, of course, and call me back with a report of your experience. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Peter Glidden here. Second hour coming up after these messages. Stick around.